Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs and today I have this fun white and gold Christmas card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So as usual, I am going to cut down my cardstock. This is kind of my preferred way to start just because it gives me an idea of what kind of space I'm working with. And I wanted these cards to have a gold mat. So I've cut down my gold cardstock to be about an 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then I'm going to cut my white piece down, but I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to end up cutting it a little bit larger. Normally I cut it to be about 1/4 of an inch, which is what you see here, but I wanted it to be a little bit larger than that. So I went about another 1/8 of an inch down so that I had a thicker gold border. There's no right or wrong way, completely up to you, but that's kind of what I did so that I'd have a thicker border around my gold panel. Just because I felt like I wanted a little more gold in this design. I really like borders. I think that I love that layered look and it kind of just gives an elegant card a little bit more interest. So especially on something that's like a really small color palette, in this case there's really only 2 colors going on, I really like to have that kind of extra oomph that gives the card something a little bit more. So I love the layers, but of course you don't need them if you don't want to add them, but I do find that they just give it just a little touch more. And as you guys saw from the opening piece of this video, I am going to make 2 cards. I've kind of been leaning that direction a lot more since I started selling at markets. It's kind of nice to have extra cards on hand, and this gives me a chance to put, say, 1 in my market bins and then 1 to send to a friend. So it kind of makes it easier for me to have just a few more on hand, and then I can send some to pen pals and not worry about depleting my stock, especially for Christmas, because Christmas markets are coming up, so it's going to be pretty exciting. So I do everything twice. Whether or not I show you me doing it twice, I do everything twice, I promise. So I am going to just cut out the base of the Tim Holtz Candle Shop Colourize dies. I'm going to use the largest candle for this. There are 3 full candles in the set. There's like a fat skinny, or sorry, there's a really tall skinny one. There's kind of a fat stumpy one. And then there's kind of this in-between guy who's still a bit of a wider candle, but he's a bit taller as well. So like I said, there are 3 different candles. I chose one of the candles out of the set. There's no right or wrong. You could choose any candle and recreate this card. I just liked the amount of space it was going to use up in my design. So that's kind of what I was aiming for. And then I am going to run this through twice, as I said, just because I am doing the 2 cards. You don't need to overload your die machine like I'm doing here. I should stop doing that because sometimes things don't cut all the way through. And that is what's going to happen on some of the skinnier pieces for this. So I will have to run them through a second time anyway. So if I had just done, a couple of the dies and then ran it through and then a couple more of the dies, it would have been the same amount of die cutting. So this didn't save me any time, as you can see here, because I have to cut the pieces out with my scissors, or alternatively I have to run them back through with the die. So, you don't have to do as I say or anything like that, but it is a good tip to just don't overload your die machine because it does struggle to cut pieces. So there are going to be some pieces here that it just didn't cut through that I'm going to run it back through. The alternative to this too is you could use the chrome shim instead of my magic mat, which is what I'm using. I do find you get a smoother cut from those, but if I'm going to cut a lot of things, I tend not to use my chrome just because it bends my plates. So I tend to want to use the magic mat as much as possible if I can get away with it so that I don't worry about my plates bending. But I mean, you're going to replace your plates eventually anyway. So that just kind of becomes one of those things. So then I'm going to layer up my candle. I believe the candle is 5 layers, and then it has 2 little bits that go on the bottom of the candle that are like dripping wax. So you go largest to smallest. It's really easy to tell based on the image on top of the actual die set. That's kind of what I follow if I'm struggling a little bit, but you're always pretty much golden if it's largest to smallest. That's kind of how all of the layering dies work, which makes sense. So that's kind of what I aimed for. These little pieces that are extra did throw me off for a second. You can see them just above. I've got them here in my hand now, but they just go on the bottom of the candle as like dripping wax pieces. And of course you could do these candles in so many fun colors and you would create like a completely different design. This candle would be really fun for a Halloween card, I think, if you did it in like dark purples. I think that would be or like oranges. I think that would be stunning. This whole die set would lean itself really well towards a Halloween card, I think. But in this case, we are doing Christmas in July, so I am, leaning towards Christmas cards instead, but easily you could change this and do a really fun Halloween card, I think. And then the dish, so there's two different candle holders. There's kind of like there's one that holds the tall skinny candle, and then there's this little kind of plate one, and I would say you put the larger candles in it. You could of course not use either, but this does help like give your candle something to sit on so it doesn't look like it's just floating, and I kind of like that look. And then of course there are 2 layers to the flame as well, and there is a small piece that you cut out to do like the wick. So I mean, you could, like, I stuck the wick on top of the candle, and then I'm going to add another piece of wick just on top so you can see it. You don't need to add that if you didn't want to, although I do think it's a really fun detail. But I think this die set looks intimidating, but I had a lot of fun making it. So I kind of just one of those things where you just cut everything out and then you just piece it together, and it becomes kind of like a meditative way to just make something. So I have a lot of fun with layering sets. I know some people find them intimidating, and that's fair. They can be. And the lid to my glitter pen is rocking all over the place because I have a fan on, because it's really hot here right now. It was, when I was making this video, because now of course it's been a few days, it was like 45 degrees here, I think, which I believe is like 96 Fahrenheit, something like that. It's pretty close. So it was quite warm, and we don't have air conditioning because I live in a part of, Western Canada that's cold most of the time. So I have a fan on. So if you see things kind of weirdly moving across my desk, that's why. It's just because the fan's blowing them. But yeah, so this is quite a simple card design. So of course I needed to bring in some glitter just because I think that's really fun, and because who wouldn't want to own a glittery candle? Like, I love that. I think that's such a fun look for candles. And excuse my fight with my glue here. I'm at the very end of the 2 bottles, so I'm kind of having fun kind of trying to make them give me the glue. So bear with me if you see me fighting with my glue for a second. And then I am just going to glue, sorry, my head gets in the way there for a second. I am just going to glue the base of the candle into this little tray, and then I'm going to hold it down with my acrylic block just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere while I'm waiting for the glue to adhere. Because the gold paper is more of a foiled type paper, sometimes it does take a little bit for the glue to grab. So this is just kind of an easy way to get the item to stay where you want it to while you're waiting for the glue to grab that kind of foiledy paper. And now I'm going to stamp out my sentiment. So I chose a sentiment from the Christmas Blessings stamp set by Simon Says Stamp because it's just a stunning mix, and they really lean themselves towards a really elegant look. And I am going to emboss it in a gold embossing powder because, again, we're not introducing any new colors. This is just a white and gold card. So we're going to emboss in that gold cardstock, or gold embossing powder, sorry. And I just kind of lined it up how I knew I wanted where the candle was going to sit, and then the sentiments is just going to sit just right underneath the candle. This is a fairly simple card. I'm not a big clean and simple style of card maker. I tend towards a more is more stylist crafting, but I do like to do these white and gold cards, and I always try to aim for a more elegant look. That's kind of always what I'm thinking when I do a white and gold card. I'm trying for something that's a little more traditional and a little more elegant looking. So that's kind of what my aim is when I make these cards. So this sentiment set leads itself really well to that. You can see how beautiful that looks with the gold embossing. And then now we really just need to build the cards. They are fairly simple, as I said. There isn't a lot to them, but I think they hold a really good punch with their layers and their gold coloring. But I mean, you could easily change this if you wanted it. It could be silver and white. You could do like purple and silver. Like, there's so many ways you could recreate this simple design in different colors and have it be a very different look if that's what you wanted. I just really like the white and gold, so I do tend towards that. And I think I have almost like a full playlist of it by this point, because I love the white and gold cards. But of course, these will go in the Christmas in July playlist because that is what they are for. And I've been doing Christmas in July now for 4 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so it's always kind of fun to try to come up with different ideas. Not that a white and gold card is different. I love white and gold cards, so I do tend to make them, not super often, but I do make them on the channel. And I love the look of them. They're always so fun. Don't worry, this is pretty much the only monochromatic. Well, no, there's one other card in this series that's a little more of a traditional color palette. It's just kind of in a very fun way. But you guys would have seen that I did do a navy and gold card as well. So I do try to have a mix of, more fun, vibrant rainbow style cards, and then a mix of more kind of a traditional or a muted color palette that kind of leans itself more towards a Christmas, like a more standardized Christmas card look. So I kind of try to have a nice mix between the two so that you can kind of get a good variation on the channel. This would be a card that might be difficult to recreate just because of how the candle is being put together. But if you enjoy building the candle, this would be a really fun to design to have for your Christmas cards this year to kind of send out as like a set of cards. I think they turned out really pretty. And I will have one set of cards as well. I did a set of 5 cards that will come up on the channel here a little bit later in the month, and I think they turned out pretty great. I'm actually done all of my cards for Christmas in July at this point. I was finished them early, like the second week of July, because I am doing some traveling. So I wanted to be ahead on all of my card designs so that I knew where I was at, except for the live streams, of course. I can't pre-do my live streams, but I am actually luckily home for both of them, so that worked out really well. I've already done one. We did a flat shaker card with like kind of a rainbow design, and then in the second one, I'm going to finish working on, I might finish working on a waterfall of folio that I'm making with some really pretty Christmas papers. So that's kind of what I've got planned. So if you can and you want to, please stop by the lives. I do them every second Thursday of the month. Well, it's every second Thursday, not really based on the month. It's just every second Thursday. So we did one on the 11th, I believe, and I think the next one is the 23rd. Don't quote me on the dates. I'm guessing as I'm doing this voiceover. But I always have the thumbnails up and ready so you can go and see when the next live is. I will be putting that up this week and having it ready to go. But yeah, so I do end up usually doing 2 lives a month. Is kind of, I mean, there are months where there will be 3, just depending on how the month falls. But as a general rule, there are 2. And if you can, please come hang out. It's a lot of fun. A lot of great ladies come and hang out, and we chat, and we, discuss crafty things, and we talk about, well, pretty much anything. Some days we talk about recipes, and some days we talk about weather, and some days we talk about, where people are and what kind of is neat to their cities, or different things about their state. It just kind of really depends on how the live is going. So it's a lot of fun if you can come catch it and come say hi. Even if you only stop in for a few minutes and just come say hi, I'd love to see you there. It's just a really great way to, chat with you guys and have a bit of a more one-on-one style chat. Obviously, it's not one-on-one because there are other people in the chat, but it is a lovely way to get to know the community and kind of have a conversation and feel like we're crafting together. So that's a really fun thing that we've been doing. So if you can, please do come and join the live stream. I would love to have you there. It is a lot of fun. So yeah, so it's Thursdays at 3 p.m. PST. So I guess that's 6 p.m. EST. So, but the times are always up when I do the thumbnail. So it should be able to show you what it would be in your time zone. I know for my UK peeps and Australian that it's quite late. But I mean, if you stop in for a few seconds and just say hi, that's okay too. If you have a few minutes, if you want to. That'd be lovely. So there you saw, I just built my cards. I use a mix of liquid glue and foam tape just because I like the dimension on a card that's a bit more simple. You don't need to add it. It's so subtle, but it does just add a little bit of interest that I love. So that's always kind of fun. And then I did add a couple of white pearls across the card just because, again, I love pearls. Excuse me. I think that they're phenomenal. They're one of my favorite things to add to a card. But so that's kind of where I lean when I want to add something. And I think pearls just always look so elegant too. So it's just a lot of fun to add to the design. But yeah, so that is the set of cards I made for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you'll consider leaving me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It is pretty exciting. We recently hit a milestone, so it's a lot of fun to have you guys hang out and come and show me what you're up to. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.